candy last night. All right. I think this is a big game for us, as dumb as that sounds, because this team is a ranked team in Division II. They've been to the NCAA tournament. They have size. They have shooters. They have some experience. They run a lot of stuff, and we're going to have to cover a lot of stuff, which is a difficult part right now, especially for all the freshmen. But the reason it's a bigger deal is we didn't guard very well last game, and we didn't rebound at all the first half. And so we've put a tremendous emphasis on that in the last couple days. We still won't have Josh, which is disappointing. It's nothing that bad. It's just a hammy that we felt like if we didn't rest him, it could linger on. So we're resting him. It's just disappointing because I think he needs the playing time. Questions?
If these young guys, you talked about in your intro press conference about patience not being a strength of yours. I think it's well documented. Have these guys
Thank you.
Tested that at all? And have you gotten a sense for what the season will be like relying on so much youth?
They have been, there's been different NBA people and different other people. And somebody said it best. The neat part about them is they're all very good players, but they want to please you and the staff. So there's no big egos, Miles could have an ego. He's the least of the egos. And so what's it going to be like? It's going to be painful at times. It's going to be exciting at times. But I feel very comfortable that they get it. They want to please. They just don't know how to all the time. And I think that's what freshmen are all about. I don't care if they're here, Kentucky, or Indiana or Alabama. It doesn't make any difference. I don't care what sport it's in. But there definitely are some focus issues on, never relaxing and understanding that every minute of every day someone's going at you. And they're going to have to learn how to deal with that in games, especially the changing of offenses that happens so much in college compared to in high school. So, and then you got a guy like Miles who we're playing all over the place. Cassius, I think he's picked it up pretty well. Big Nick picks up things a little slower, but he's actually, if everybody made the progress Nick has made in the 3 weeks, we'll be very good in the not so distant future. He has made incredible progress, but he probably had the farthest to go.
Have you begun to think about if size is an issue against Kentucky or Arizona, like ways you can mitigate it with scheme and system?
Yeah, we've thought about it. Sooner or later it comes back down to, he's bigger than me, and that's the way it is. But we have some lineups we can go to that'll make us a little bigger. We can play Miles at the 2, for God's sakes, and be bigger in that way. We have worked on some zone. I don't blame you if you laugh, but it's I understand it.
I'm looking for Larry to walk off the steps.
I didn't say press. We were working on that until we lost some guys, but we were working on that too. So, yeah, we're going to try to do some different things according to the personnel we have. But I think the biggest thing is, where's our depth, which would look like a real deep team, then all of a sudden gets not as deep, and so we got to be careful on what we're exposing on some of those things.
What do you want to see lineup-wise tomorrow? Do you know how you want to go?
I think to start out with, we'll start Kenny again. But the second half, you might see a lineup with Nick, Kenny, and Miles, or Nick, Kenny, Miles, and Aaron even. What was going to be Josh, but you could see what we could call our biggest lineup. I think I'd start the second half that way, no matter what's going on, unless somebody's loafing or something. But
was it a blessing for you to be able to get a team to come in for an exhibition that plays defense, that at least you think they're going to show your guys
Yeah, I
something?
think it is. I still keep going back to whether we should be playing one exhibition and a scrimmage. Some people still like that. What I do like about the Division II teams is maybe they're not sometimes as big, although this team is bigger. But what they are is they run their stuff well, and when they run it better than a lot of Division I teams that rely more on talent. So it gives us a chance. Like tomorrow, we're going to have to guard a bunch of different sets and different things. And I think in that respect, this is going to be a great game for us. Now, I did think Northwoods ran some stuff very well, and things that we have to get used to guarding, and guard them when they're executed at a very high level. Maybe we play against better players, but maybe they won't execute at that high a level.
What did you see looking back?
Do you do with the lineup throughout the game?
Well, I'll do some. I don't have a lot of options in certain positions, but I'm going to do some. We'll go in with probably 3 or 4 different lineups that we definitely want. One that we start, one that we might start the second half. I might go the last 10 minutes with a certain lineup, and I might even go real small for 10 minutes or 5 minutes and see what that is. So that is the neat part of these games for me. I do feel comfortable now that my job's secure for at least a year, that I will, I will experiment. I will try to get when I need to get out of this game besides winning it. I mean, that would be the secondary part of what I want to do. It sounds a little bizarre, but it is the truth. I mean, I think, especially this year with all the new young guys, and really all the old guys are young guys because everybody's got a new role on this team. Everybody. And so it's going to be important that I mix and match the lineups.
You know, you were talking about playing the two point guards together. What did you see when you had those two guys on?
I was kind of pleased with that. You know, I've watched some film of some other teams that I played with 2 smaller point guards, and you know, Tom's a guy that can cover a lot of different people unless they post him up. And not many colleges go to that, you know, a lot. But him and Cassius have got a unique bond between them that's really cool. I mean, I think Tom knows that Cassius is pushing him in different ways, but Tom is Tom, you know, and he's and so all of a sudden we start playing them together. I think they both salivated on that experience.
Yeah, I was going to say 2 different kinds of point guards too.
Yeah, and Cassius, what I didn't know about Cassius when I got him is he can play some too. I mean, he can shoot the ball as good as some of the 2 guards we got. I did not see that when I recruited him because he was always getting to the rim. He shoots it better than average. In fact, sometimes very good. So that gives us another dimension that way too.
Tom, I'd like to ask you about Nick. Watching you coach him tough.
Yeah.
And he loves it. Is that weird for you to have a guy that you can dish?
He loves it so far. You know, the games haven't started yet, but he does.
But we've seen guys this early who did, who almost
Well, that's
bristled.
what those guys said to me. You know, he wants to please us. You know, I listen. I've been so lucky the last 4 or 5 years with guys that, you know, I mean, we've had a bump in the road here or there, but I've had a lot of good guys right now, and that culture has been. I mean, for a coach, you can't beat it. Now, you know, we'll get challenged this year because that schedule early is going to be tough, and who knows what will happen with a lot of different things. But I just feel blessed to have guys that do want to be coached and want to be coached hard. I mean, Miles, you can coach Miles. You know, you can ride him like a stallion. He doesn't want to be like a
But that surprised
donkey.
you a little bit, didn't
It
it?
did. Yes, it did. I mean, every freshman has surprised me in one way or another. Cassius shoots a little better, and he's starting to think about playing defense. That was a surprise with him, you know. Josh, you know, I thought I was going to be just a roly-poly doll that would take a year to get in shape and this and that. He's done a great job of, I mean, he's down into the 40s now, coming from the 70s, and it hasn't been a bad way of losing weight, you know, like sometimes we all do. It was a good way, and he's been very consistent with it, but he's been a lot more coachable, okay? In Langford, he's just kind of the most solid of all of them. He can do everything pretty well, and Miles is the superstar that doesn't have an ego and is willing to learn, be coached. It's been fun, you know. It's always fun when you're 0-0.
Nick said that coaches that he doesn't want you to ever stop because if he does, it means you've given up on him. Is that salivating?
Yeah, well, that's what we try to preach to him. You know, if I don't like you anymore, I won't, you know, DWW, don't waste words on someone that you don't care about. So there's no DWW here, but Nick is, I said, if you talk to DJ or Dane or Mike and you asked them who's improved the most, I'd be shocked. Now, I think he had the most improved when you talk about his body, when you talk about his defense, learning how to stay down. He's improved a lot, you know. And that's what needs to happen for a freshman. So, Yeah, they've been fun to coach, and yet I think right now it's still going to be Aaron Harris. Is Kenny Goins going to play like he? Is McQuaid going to get back to the guy that played the first half of the year before he got hurt? Those guys are going to be key guys, and then the Oranges and the Ellises, where they go from there. We need all of them. There's no question about that.
You got an update on Kenny or on Gavin?
I mean, we don't have we know that he's out, but we don't have a timetable as return. The good news is if you watch him, he's supposed to be off crutches by tomorrow, so he's going to be walking. What does that mean? I mean, he's going to be a while. I mean, he's not going to be, ain't going to be no, I think Big Ten would be, what we'd hope for. But, Nick's is a little worse, I think, because he's got some meniscus. I don't really know exactly. I mean, Ben, not Nick. I keep calling him Nick, too, because our trainer's Nick. Right now, I'm mad at the guy because our guys are injured. But, what we're looking to do is just not think about who we don't have and start thinking about who we do have. And, yeah, there's question marks. I mean, there's sleepless nights when I look at if somebody gets in foul trouble or, Nick, I think he faked an injury for you guys because he was getting a little tired of that. I mean, he does have a little kink in his back, so they'll get that adjusted. Either that or I'll step on him and get him straightened out because I can't afford him not to play. But, I just think we're going to play different. And I think sometimes, like I said, you'll see guys moving around, but in Miles, you're going to see him at the 2, at the 3, at the 4, and maybe even at the point a couple times. Definitely on the break, you're going to see him there. So he's going to be the Steve Smith, the versatile guy, the different than Draymond, but in that mold of guys, Denzel that can play a lot of different positions, and he's been great about it. But it's a lot to learn one. He's got to learn 2 or 3 for sure. So that'll be fun.
Do you try and get hamstring? Is that you said lingering? Is there any concern it could linger to November 11th?
No, I don't. I mean, ask him, but I don't think so at all. What he did was he came back and practiced a couple days. It was pretty good, and then it just got a little sore, and so we got a little. Is it worth it? So they did an ultrasound. There was absolutely no issues, but I think they wanted to give it a straight 4 days. So they're doing, I guess, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday even, and then they maybe start practicing Friday.
So how do you feel about his first game in uniform being against Arizona?
Yeah. I mean, it's not they recruited him some too, but it's not it's not the ideal situation. But I'm not sure anything's going to be ideal this year. I'm just not going to worry about it. One thing he is very smart and very solid. He's probably the most solid of all of them as far as he knows what to do. He understands the game. He really understands it defensively, which we could have really used the other night. I'm anxious to see how we do tomorrow, defensively, because I thought we were below average, even though our stats were decent. I'm anxious to see against a team that I think is a lot better, how we do.
I was going to say, can you get a full picture of how this team could be without Josh out there defensively, too?
Can I get a full picture of what it's like with him
without
not?
him? Yeah, I mean, how integral is a part?
I think very integral. I think he's a 20-some minute a game player that might be the best defender, both physically and cerebrally. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
He can do both, and he has a great understanding. So, plus he can score the ball. So it's a little frustrating because I don't know. I haven't seen him against somebody else, but I'm not going to worry about that. That's for sure.
Tom, you were talking about defense at the beginning, specifically the freshmen. But what about some of the veterans like Ellis and Aaron Harris in that last game? How that defense what impact?
Well, we just thought we thought Harris struggled on some guarding of the defense on ball screens and that, and then I did what I normally do. I went back and looked at it, and I blamed him like I always do. And then I looked at more and more film, and I mean, part of the problem is when you don't have the same big stepping up on those ball screens. We had 2 really good ones in Schilling and Costello. Didi wasn't as good at it, but Didi was a shot blocker. So all of a sudden, we reassessed and said, you know what, we got to do a better job, as one of you said, finding different ways to to help him in that area instead of blaming him. So we've really looked at some things on film and last 3 days of practice, really tried to figure out on guarding them different ways. So we'll be guarding a couple of those ball screens differently than we have. Some things we did way back in the future, but it's not all those two guys as much as it's sometimes the bigs too. They kind of go together in how they guard them. Ball screens that are good ball screen and good ball screen defense is a 5-man job, not a 1-man job. We were making it a 1 or 2-man job, and we got to now get back to making it a 5-man job.
With Van Dyke getting that scholarship, did he go from kind of being a nice walk-on story to someone who you might actually need a little more than you think?
Yeah. You say that with your eyes as open as mine. Yes, I.
So what can he give you?
Well, you know what I'm hoping he can give me is a little bit what Kobe gave us. He's not quite as big, but he's a lot more athletic. He jumps out of the gym when he's healthy. So, plus he has a feel for the game. He played guard in high school, so he's pretty tough. And, you know, again, we're going to play some teams that our size is really going to hurt us. Let's face it. But a lot of teams nowadays are playing with 4 more perimeter guys. So. And I always say on the ones we're playing that don't have that, they got to guard us too. So I think Van Dyke is going to have to play. He's going to play more minutes tomorrow than he did maybe the other day. And we'll see what we get out of him. That's your guess. It's as good as mine.
You get a lot from, I guess, maybe like Golden State or some of those other teams have done with
Yeah,
their size.
exactly. You know, you look at Villanova last year.
Yeah.
You know, not real big all the time. And Golden State, I mean, let's face it. I mean, that's because of Draymond. That's what we watch so much anyway. But they're a lot like that. At times, they'll be smaller than us. You know, they might go 6'6", 6'7" at the wings, maybe a little bigger there. But when he's playing center, you know, I mean, I guess Kenny's his size. Kenny's more athletic than Dede. But they got bigger guys in that league too that we're going to have to face most of the time.
Anything else, guys?
Thanks, guys.
He got it.